2022 was a milestone reading year for me, but 2023 is gonna look a little bit different. Yes, I will still have a reading goal, but I'm putting some restrictions on myself that might sound over the top, but I think are gonna make my reading practice something even more joyful and exciting and productive for me. But before we get into what that is, let's first look at 2022. I read 84 books in 2022, and a lot of those were actually audiobooks. I tend to really go through seasons when it comes to reading physical books, and a lot of it has to do with how much time and energy that I have. This year was different than any year before in the sense that we have Kirby, our lovely golden retriever now, and he's amazing and has brought so much joy to our lives. It does mean that there's just that little bit less time that we have free during the day and especially during the week. And because Kirby needs relatively long walks every single day, I tend to use that time when I'm doing his walks to listen to audiobooks. So I'm still getting that story time without having to take the physical time to sit down with a book. My original goal for 2022 was actually only 52 books. I thought doing a book a week would be really good. And because of my long walks, I ended up massively exceeding that. I didn't quite double it. I was kind of thinking I might for a minute there, but I wasn't pressuring myself to do that. I did realize about 2/3 of the way through the year that I was going to blow past my 52 book target, so I decided to increase it to 78, which is a book and a half a week. And I ended up surpassing that as well. By the end of today, which is New Year's Eve, I will probably have hit 90 books for the year. But my official number is 84 because that's what I did in my 2022 roundup video. I'll save the others for a video next year. I also bought almost every single book that I read in 2022. A lot of them were audiobooks, which I bought through Audible. The physical books that I read, I mostly bought from Amazon. And I have a Kindle for when I'm traveling, so I did read a couple of ebooks as well, which were bought from Amazon as well. Like a lot of people, I tend to default to Amazon just because of the convenience factor. We pay for Prime so that we can watch the TV shows and films, and as a result, it's where we tend to do the bulk of our shopping. But it's something that I'm really looking to change in 2023, and my reading practice is so closely linked to Amazon that it's going to take a concerted effort to sort of break that habit. When I think about setting a reading goal for 2023, I want to think about it not just in terms of how many stories I want to consume, but also in a more holistic sense of every role that reading plays in my life. I don't actually feel like I should read more next year than I did this past year. I felt like I constantly had a book on the go. I felt like I didn't really go through any seasons where I wasn't reading at all. Even if I was just reading audiobooks, I still count that as reading, and I think you should too. But that's a rant for another day. So to try to push myself to read more, I think would be disingenuous, and I would need to look at what would be my reasons for doing that. Would it be intellectual posturing? Would it be perfectionist tendency to always do better and better? I'm quite happy with the amount that I read, and so I think I'm going to set my goal for 78 again. I think that sort of stretch goal that I set was a good amount. So in terms of my goal in the apps that I use, 78 will be the number that I put in. However, the way that I go about reading those 78 books is going to look very different next year, and one of the main reasons for that is that I am implementing a book buying ban. Not just for a week, not for a month, but for the entire year. But I'm not a fan of the all or nothing, so let's talk about what exactly that means and why I'm doing it. Like I said, almost all of the 84 books that I read this past year, I purchased this year. That's a lot of money out the door. It's a lot of money going to a company that I don't actually want to be supporting, and it's not making use of the vast amount of resources for free books that I have. So those resources being, 1, my own bookshelves, which we'll come back to in a second, 2, the library, which I have never signed up to as long as I've lived in the UK, and 3, borrowing with friends and family. So my intention is to make as much use as possible of those free book resources. I am going to give myself a few exceptions to the book buying ban. First of all, I am going to keep my Audible subscription. I know that you can get audiobooks through the library, but the selection is nowhere near as good, obviously, as it is on Audible, and I have a subscription that gives me 2 credits a month to use. So the way I see it, if I'm doing about an audiobook a week, which is about what I've been doing this year, I can do about half of my audiobooks, just under, through Audible, and the rest I need to do through the library. And that should allow me to take the approach of library first and Audible to fill any gaps for things I want to listen to that the library doesn't have. That's what I'm hoping anyway. The second exception is I have pre-ordered some books for next year. I've pre-ordered the new Emily Henry, I've pre-ordered the new Abby Jimenez, and a few others that I'm really looking forward to. And then the last exception is if I get any gift vouchers from friends and family, hint hint, I am allowed to use those in bookshops, on Amazon, wherever the voucher is for. The rest of those need to come from those free book resources. So let's talk about those. The first of those was my own bookshelves. Now, I don't own a ton of audiobooks that I haven't listened to, though there are a few. Most of my audiobooks will probably be new things. However, I have so many books on my Kindle that I have never even touched. In fact, I've got so many on there that I've been known to like buy the physical book because I forgot that I owned the ebook because I use my Kindle so infrequently. So there will definitely be a resurgence of the Kindle this year, just so that I can work through some of the books that I already own. And then there is my physical bookshelf. So I've got a shelf here, I've also got a shelf over there, and I don't have as many books as some people. I've been pretty good over the years at like unhauling books that I know I'm never gonna read, or ones that I've read that I know I'm not gonna reread. So I actually own 376 physical books. I just did a count, and of those 376 physical books, I only read 123 of them. That's 32.7%, less than a third of the physical books that I own have I actually read. So I have got a wealth of literature at my fingertips available for me to read this year. I've already picked out several. A lot of those have been purchased in the last couple of months, sort of looking ahead to reading challenges that I want to do in the new year. So I should be nice and stocked on quite recent books, to be honest, that I'm really excited about, and as well as some older ones that I might be able to go back to. A lot of those books as well, I haven't read for years or even decades in some cases, so I'm excited to go back and reread some of the books that I loved from when I was younger. So first free book resource, my own shelves. Second free book resource is the library. Now, my mother-in-law is actually a librarian, so it's kind of funny that I've never signed up. I don't actually have a library within walking distance, which is a bit of a bummer because I don't drive, but there is a library in the next town over, and like I said, my mother-in-law is a librarian as well, so if I ever want her to source books for me, she's able to do so. So there's really no excuse there, especially because the library does audiobooks as well, and I really want to, like I said, not go over my 2 credits a month from Audible, so that's going to be an important resource to help supplement that. Ebooks as well I can get from the library. And the final free resource is swapping with friends and family. I've got one friend in particular that we tend to have fairly similar taste in books, and we're actually doing something really fun where we are making sort of blind date with a book boxes. I've actually got it like next to me on the bed here, so I'll pull out January's and show it to you, where we have a book for every single month of the year, and then we on the front do like a little bit of a blurb about it, and we unwrap one each month. I've done mine for her, she's doing hers for me, and then we're swapping them. So I'm actually giving her 13 books from my shelves. I did 13 because I did a bonus one just in case she's read one of them, and she's giving me 12 books from her shelf. And that's already 15% of the books that I need to read this year. Imagine what else we'll be able to swap with each other or buddy read. And that's just one of my friends who likes to read as well. I've got loads of friends who are really into books and who have read amazing things that I've never even heard of. So it's a perfect opportunity to start sharing those a little bit more. And I think that there's something really beautiful and communal about sharing books and getting to experience the stories that the people you care about love so much. So in 2023, yes, I want to read 78 books. books, but where those come from is looking very, very different. I'm really excited to start to tap into the resources that I already have available to me and to use this year as a little bit of a circuit break for the habits that I have around book buying and sort of bibliomania in general, focusing on appreciating the things that I have rather than looking externally to the things that I want. And that's sort of a theme for me in a lot of different areas of my life this coming year, but for books, it's definitely a place where I can curb my consumerism quite easily because I have so many resources available to me. I won't be deprived. My biggest challenge is going to be not letting other people's reading challenges and reading recommendations here on BookTube influence me too much, because I do have a tendency to just be like, oh, that sounds good, I'll just buy that really quickly. And I'm also hoping that not having the constant flow of books as part of it will help me to come away from supporting Amazon in other areas of my life as well. So there you have it. Those are my 2023 reading goals and rules. It's going to be a slightly different year for me, but I'm actually really excited about it. Be sure to hit subscribe so that you can follow along as I do shop my own shelves and as I unwrap the books that my friend is wrapping up for me. And I'd also love to hear about your reading goals for 2023. Are they the same as last year? Do they look a bit different last year? Are you trying to read more, read the same? Maybe you want to read less, though why? So head to the comments and let me know what your goals are. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.